Welcome everyone, today is an update video on how to record PlayStation 2 games onto your Elgato HD60S or any other Elgato capture cards. And I made this video last year, I'll leave it down in the description. And the way I got PlayStation 2 games to work on my Elgato is by using the scaler, the Infor 1080p scaler. But someone on Twitter and people in my comments down in the last video were saying that they were not able to get any more of these Infor scalers, so they're not available anymore or they're not going to be restocked anymore. I'm not sure what the problem is, but even if you go to the website in the back right here, which is www.incoproducts.com, if you do search for it, there's nothing. So I'm not really sure what happened to this product, but it just seems like I got lucky that I got it, but there hasn't been any new ones out there. So if you're trying to find this product, I'm sorry, you probably have to look for other budget scalers or converter boxes to get PS2 output into your Elgato HD60S. But as well, I got a new product that is not this scaler. It's a new one called the RetroTink 2x-Pro. Don't worry, I'll show you this scaler of course in a little bit, but I'm using this one now to connect everything to my Elgato HD60S. So I highly recommend you do check it out. I'll leave the website itself down in the description where you could buy the RetroTink 2x-Pro. And of course, this is an update video on everything on how to record with the Elgato HD60S. But as well, there's a lot of videos that I have researched, that I learned from, and I will leave those as well down in the description so you can check it out yourself and know how to record at least retro console games for modern day television. So that's all I want to say right now, and right now I'm going to show you all the equipment I have to record PlayStation 2 games on your Elgato HD60S. So the first equipment we have here is the RetroTink 2x-Pro. It does come with a micro USB cable. It's not very long, but I'm going to use it because it's brand new, of course, but you can use whatever micro USB you have. And of course the scaler itself, which is the RetroTink 2x-Pro. We do have S-Video, composite, and component inputs to HDMI. But of course we are going to use component cables because they're much more better for quality and picture when it comes to the PlayStation 2 era. So that's what we would use for the scaler. And of course in the back we do have HDMI, the micro USB to power, and these two switches for input and some filters that you could play around with. But that's for another video. So now on the right side of the RetroTink we have COM, Retro, Auto, and Mode, Line to X, and Pass. I highly recommend you that you keep the COM at auto and mode at line to X, because with mode, if you change it to pass for whatever reason, you are going to get some issues with your Elgato device. But as you can see from the little switches on the right, they're very small. It's a little bit hard to get it with your fingers, or especially my fingers. So all you need to use is like a little pen, or what I'm using, like a Nintendo DS stylus, in order for you to switch the prongs on the right side. But when it comes to recording, I highly recommend you that you keep auto and line to X on the RetroTink 2x-Pro. You could switch to retro if you want to, but retro is mostly used for Super NES, PS1, and N64, and the older titles of retro consoles. Okay, the second equipment that you need is the Elgato HD60S, the one that I own. But of course it does come with a HDMI, the Type-C connection, and of course the device itself. So you're just going to understand that everything that we're working with is going to go with HDMI in and out. But of course your in will be the scaler and your out will be the TV. And make sure that you do have two HDMI cables because we need them in order for us to get connected to the Elgato software on your PC. So now the next thing we need is component cables, and the component cables I have are from HD Retrovision. Now of course you could use your normal component cables, but understand that cables do degrade over time. And the ones that I had at the time were these 3-in-1 component cables, the ones that were able to give you PS2, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and GameCube. So I decided to get myself these HD Retrovision cables for just PlayStation 2 and also for PlayStation 3. But those are the ones I have. I'll leave the link down in the description where you can buy it. But those are the ones I have. But you could use your normal one. But make sure to do some tests. Check your capture card. Check your video to make sure that your video looks exactly how it should look and nothing that looks washed down or anything from your picture, because that tells you that your cables are basically worn out. But these are the cables I'm using right now to connect everything. And the last thing we need is just a standard wall charger. As you can see, this one is just an Amazon one. You could use a normal wall charger or USB port on your PlayStation 2 or also on your PC to power up the RetroTink. Okay everyone, so now I'm going to show you how everything is plugged in. But of course, first thing is first, make sure that you do update the firmware for the RetroTink. Because if you try to connect everything just on the TV or even on the Elgato, there's no audio coming out from the white and red audio jacks. So I'm not sure what could be the problem with that, but all I did was just update the firmware and that solved my problem. So you do have that issue. If you plug and play everything, do update the firmware. The firmware I have on the RetroTink right now is version 1.5. But of course, you can see I have the component cables already plugged in, and they are already attached over there to my PS2. So right here, connecting to the HDMI with the RetroTink, coming from the input, of course, next to the Type-C, and of course the second HDMI is connecting to my television. And the only thing that is on is just my TV. But right now we are going to turn on the RetroTink because there's a switch button right here which is called input, and we had to change the light to green, not yellow or white. We had to change it to green to connect to components. So right now I'm going to turn on my wall charger right now. As you can see, the lights blink, and if it's in green, that means you're good. But if it isn't, make sure to click on this button for the input. If it's white, that means it's S video. If it's yellow, it will be in composite. But we want it to be green. And as you can see from the video on my TV screen, that's how it looks. It's on the right HDMI connection. And right now I'm going to turn on my PS2 right now. So it's turned on. And we got both video and audio coming out from my TV. But of course, a couple things first that we need to just worry about. Make sure to go to system configuration. And I have my component Y for component video out. Do not choose RGB. Because if you do choose RGB, it's going to be blank screen forever. And there's a way to get on it and change it. But do not choose RGB. Just keep it at Y for component. And of course, the last thing I recommend that you guys do is just keep the screen size at 4:3. But at the very end of the day, guys, that's how you get your whole entire setup ready to play on your television. But of course, as well, getting it to the Elgato. And right now, we're going to switch over to how to record with your Elgato capture card. So now we transfer over everything to the PC side of things. Guys, everything is still plugged in and everything. But I highly recommend you that you do download, of course, the latest version of the Elgato software and OBS Studio. We're going to record everything on OBS Studio. And now you're telling yourself, well, why can I not use the Elgato software? Well, now I'm going to show you some examples. If you do use the Elgato software, you are going to see some pixelation artifacts in the background of your video, and I'm not sure why it is happening on the software itself. It could possibly be that it cannot record correctly on 480p, and understanding 480p is not a very good resolution either, but it doesn't give you that very nice, clean, clear quality that you see on your television, and as well when you preview the window on your capture card. So that's the sort of thing that has happened to me. I'm not sure if it will
do the same thing for you guys, but with my specific hardware, which is the Elgato HD60S and the software that is up to date, that's what has been happening to me when I try to use it for the first time and just hit record and stop recording, and I have those pixelation artifacts. So I highly recommend you that you do not use the Elgato software, but you do need it in order to connect to OBS Studio. So finally, everyone, we are going to put our Elgato capture card into OBS Studio to finally record and get our gameplay. But there's a couple of things we need to understand with our PlayStation 2 games. A lot of our PlayStation 2 games are 480i, and the I means interlace. And this is where we have a problem with most certain modern day capture cards, mostly mine, that the interlace does not like it. Of course, the game is trying to output at 480p, but the game is at 480i. So we're going to have problems. And for example, right now this is an image of interlacing. As you can see from the videos, they're going one by one with one lines of a group, and then the second line is completing the whole image, which is basically what it's doing to any video that you see or watch and all that stuff. And this is what is called interlacing. So as for another example for images, a really good one is this one, where progressive, everything looks nice and clear, nice and clean. But then when it comes to interlace, we see these little lines coming out. And I do not like that. Nobody likes that. I mean, we just want really nice, clear lines coming down. But we have to understand that a lot of these games were at 480i. But is there a way to counter it or try to fix it? Well, there is a filter, thanks to OBS Studio, called deinterlacing. And of course, right here, deinterlacing means the process of converting interlaced video into a non-interlace or progressive form. And interlaced video signals are commonly found in analog television, or mostly as well for PlayStation 2 games. And for another example, and this is going to be the final one, which I did a recording on my phone with my Elgato, raw and everything, no filters, no anything, trying to capture everything on OBS Studio, preview window, just to show you how it looks. So at about 14 seconds, you will see the little flickers coming from the letters right here on the memory card, and also some of the text on the save files on my memory card. So let me start at 10 seconds. Let me full screen it so you can see it for yourself. And just pay attention. These are the lines happening when I'm trying to capture everything on the Elgato. As you can see, oh boy, it just looks horrible. It might look nice, but as you can see from the lines, it's like, I'm trying, and then it goes back to normal. And that's the issue I have when it comes to, capturing with my Elgato HD60S. This is the problem I have. And at the same time, we are going to use the deinterlacing filter to fix that problem. But just understand that deinterlacing is not going to be 100% fix. It is going to minimalize it, like try to counter it so that your video, as you saw right here, doesn't look this horrible. All right, doesn't look like that. So that's what we're going to do right now. And I'm going to show you all the settings I do for my PS2 on the capture card. But as well, guys, make sure you do tests. Do some tests to understand what works best for you. And sometimes when it comes to text, like logos and everything, that could be a factor when it comes to recording games on the PlayStation 2. So now we are going to add our Elgato capture card to OBS Studio. But first thing is first, go to your settings on File, Settings. Go to the Video tab. And make sure that you do have the same resolution when it comes to your base and output. But I keep everything at 1080p, 36 samples, and of course, full 60. That's how I have it. I'm able to record at that resolution. And so far, I have no problems for other games that do record at 1080p full 60. So I'm just going to keep it like that. And of course, make sure that you click apply and I press OK. And now we're going to add our Elgato capture card to OBS Studio. So now make sure that you do have a scene. So all you have to do is click that plus button and name it whatever you want to. And right here in source, you can right click, add a source, or you just go to the plus button and go to where it says video capture device. And I'm going to name mine Elgato 60S and press OK. As you saw right there in the little dot from the video, now everything's on. That means the Elgato, RetroTink, PlayStation 2, all of it's going through and giving me a good signal. But we need to change some stuff down here and make sure that you keep your device as video 01. Do not change it to Elgato Game Capture HD, because if you do try to change it to custom, you're not going to get a video at all. I'm not sure why it does that, but that's how it is. But just keep it at Game Capture HD60S Video 01. And next thing, I highly recommend you that you do watch Eeple's Vox video and try to understand what I'm going to do next in this part of the video. But we're going to go to resolution and we're going to go to where it says custom. Now, when you do that, there's no video playing. You're going to go to your resolution and you're going to change it to 720 by 480. And that's where the normal resolution should have it when it comes to at least these type of games like 480i. Because if we go to config video, the resolution signal right here is 720 by 480, and that's where we want it to be at. So make sure that you do have it at 720 by 480. Now the next thing we're going to do is our frame rate. I keep mine at full 60. I did try it at 5994, but for whatever reason, I still get these interlace lines, as you can see from the video. But don't worry, we will fix that in a little bit. Now, video format, I keep mine at YUY2. Now, from what I learned is that I'm not sure there's difference on all of these, but I just keep everything at normal at YUY2. Now, in color space, I keep mine at 709. And then at the last one, color range, I keep mine at default. And that's pretty much it. That's the whole settings I do for my PlayStation 2 games. And you could do the same thing with PlayStation 1 games, N64, and as well for Super NES. Those are the consoles I have, of course. But since we're doing PS2, that's how I have all the settings right now. And then after that, you're going to click OK. And now you're feeling like, oh, I want to resize it. You don't want to do that yet. Keep it how it is. The next thing you're going to do is go to right click the Elgato source. And you go to transform. And go to center to screen. Now right here, since the video is very small, we're going to try to resize it back to at least a proper resolution for at least 1080p. So what we need to do is, again, right click, go to transform and edit transform. And as you can see here from the size 720 and 480, we're going to double it. So 720 times 2 will be 1440. And then 480 times 2 will be 960. And after that's done, you're going to close it. You're going to right click again, go to transform and center to screen one more time. And this is actually the resolution you should have it at when it comes to these higher resolution on your recording software or your recording settings. Now, I did follow everything from the video, like I said, from Eeple's Vox, and it looks really nice. It really does. But of course, we still have some interlaced lines. And that's what I'm going to show you right now on how to fix it. As you can see right there, it's a little bit ugly. But I am going to show you on how to fix that right now. So now the last two things that we're going to do is go to our Elgato again. Go to right click and go to scale filtering. Right here, I keep mine at Lancos. I think that's how you say it. I guess. But At the same time, I keep between one of these three by linear and by cubic. But I keep mine at land coast. I did try to do area, just as what Ipovox said, but apparently it didn't do very much, I guess. But I don't know. It depends how the scaling works with the filtering. But I keep mine at land coast, all right? And now the last one is going to be deinterlacing. Now you have a lot of options here. But of course, the main one, I keep mine at top field first. Now you could use the bottom one if you want to, but it depends what games you're playing, of course, because there's a lot of different types of games that deal with deinterlacing that might look good, while others may look bad. So you do have to do some tests when it comes to recording other retro games, of course. But what settings do you use for PlayStation 2? Well, what I found out is the ones that really like the most is Blend or Blend 2. But I keep mine at Blend 2. And ever since that point, I keep everything how it is. Now, as you can see up here, it shows, but it's very minimal. But the reason for that is because, there's a lot of text going around and, it's trying its best to keep those interlace lines perfect. But at the very end of the day, not everything's going to be perfect. Just work what works best for you for deinterlacing. And this is all the options they have right here. I'm not sure if there's other options for more deinterlacing, but for the meantime, this is how I have it for my Elgato capture card for deinterlacing. And then after that, guys, you're set. You're set to go and start recording. But of course, the last thing is, of course, what are the settings for your recording? So I go to my settings and I go to output. I go to recording. And this is all the settings I have. Now, I'm not going to go through everything because that's going to be another type of video I could do, of course. But I keep everything how it is. I use the NVIDIA Ink. I keep it at, of course, 1080p, CBR, 30,000 kilobits, keyframe interval at 2, max quality profile high, but I was going to say preset. But of course, cycle visual tuning, I just keep everything on default, max speed frames at 2. And of course, the recording format, I keep it at NKV. If I switch it to MP4, we have some warnings here that tells us that it will be unrecoverable if the file cannot be finished or finalized as a result of blue screen of death or power loss. So I highly don't use MP4. I just use MKV, and then I could go and just click apply. And the next thing I could do is just once I finish recording and all that stuff, I could go to file and go to remix recordings, get my file, put it in here, and target as MP4. You could do that, which is pretty damn awesome. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's how I record 480i or 480p, I guess, for PlayStation 2 content with the RetroTink on the Elgato HD60S. Now, of course, I wish I had more other capture cards, but I don't have the money for it, of course. They're just too damn expensive every time I see a new one or an updated one. I wish I could own one, but there's too many out there. But just work with what you have, of course. Like I said, I did so many tests to figure out the nitpicks of what to get the best picture or color quality I can out of my capture card. But at the very end of the day, guys, do some tests. Work what you have and see what you come up with. But of course, I am going to show you some example videos of my recordings and everything with OBS and all the settings I did and all that stuff. And some PlayStation 2 games that run with the RetroTink 2x-Pro with the Elgato HD60S. So thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to share this around with anyone out there or any of the other people that I mentioned. But at the very end of the day, guys, I'm just like you. I'm still trying to learn everything I can with when it comes to retro games and trying to get the best picture possible, or just to get recordings out of it. That's what I'm trying to do. But other than that, like I said, make sure just to go to my channel for more videos like this. As well, follow me at Twitter. That's where I post stuff. And of course, I'm going to show you some example videos on how I have everything set for PlayStation 2 while recording on the Elgato HD60S. And I'll see you next time. Keep on playing and game for life, guys. See you later.
You won't be able to continue, but you can get all 7 Dragon Balls. And apparently there's some mystery man at the end. Okay. I'm going all out.
Please don't hold back.
Final round. Fight.
Won't get away with it.
I trained hard so I can protect the Earth. Don't hold back. Final round. Fight.
Here goes. Won't get away with it. Here goes.
I trained hard so I can protect the Earth.
wild week in the WWE. The sellout crowd can't get enough of The Rock as they continue to chant his name.
Dragonball Z Boudokai Tenkaichi 3! Attack! Hey, what do we play today?
Experience some epic battles here.
You can choose your favorite character and compete. Gohan won't lose.
Now, let me enjoy the fight. Fight against the computer. This is a serious one-on-one match. Time to fight. Let's settle this, Kakarot.
It's been a long time since we fought seriously, huh? Okay, let's go! keep you waiting. You've improved a lot, but it looks like I won this one.